Are you ready to record? Okay, all right. So welcome to the Wednesday, June 17th special closed session meeting. We're gonna, can we have a roll call?
Mayor Endicott,
Present.
Councilman Gorman, Councilman Rajaratnam.
Present.
3 present, we have a quorum.
All right, is there any public comment? For the 2 items on the closed session. Okay, seeing none, we will into our closed session. We will be going over conference with legal counsel, government code, section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 1, pending litigation, Marisol Almeida et al. V. County of Kern et al. And conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation code, government code section, same thing, 1 case. All right. Right. Welcome to the Wednesday, June 17th City Council meeting. If we could get a roll call?
Is that the-
Oh, got it. Mine's on.
Is there a report out of closed session
Oh, I'm
first?
sorry. That's what you led with.
That's all right.
All right. We'll go to our attorney for report out of closed session.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, council members, 2 items were taken up by the council in closed session. They're depicted on the agenda. No reportable actions were taken by the council in closed session. Thank you.
All right. So now we'll close the closed session, open the regular session. Now we'll roll call.
Mayor Endicott?
Present.
Councilman Gorman?
Present.
Councilman Hayman?
Present.
Councilman Rajaratnam?
Present.
Councilman Blades?
Present.
5 present, we have a quorum.
All right. Do we have an approval of the agenda or a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second.
Five ayes, motion carries.
All right. Next, we will go into our Pledge of Allegiance, and then if you can remain standing afterwards for the invocation. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in prayer if you would. Lord, thank you for giving us this day. Lord, thank you for Ridgecrest where we live and cherish and we love, Lord. Lord, we ask that you protect our troops who are in harm's way. Lord, give the wisdom to our leaders to lead our country in the right direction. Lord, I pray for our police department who serve this community and keep us safe from all evil. Lord, bless their families. Lord, thank you for the opportunity you have given to us to be on the city council. Lord, as we discuss issues which are important in this community, give us your wisdom and your direction. Lord, as we get closer to celebrate the 258th anniversary of United States of America, Lord, thank you for the providence you have given us during these 250 years. Lord, give us hope. Lord, give us wisdom to move forward. Lord, with pride in the nation we share and the confidence that we can build a better future together, Lord. In your precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Next, we will go to council presentations. We have the annual comprehensive financial report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we have Coley Delaney on the line. He is with the Poon Group, our auditors, and he is going to present our presentation for our ACFR. Good evening, Coley.
Hey, Kelly. Everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. And then, so I'll tell you when to advance the slides.
All right.
Okay, awesome. I'll get going then. Yeah, so as Kelly mentioned, my name is Coley Delaney. I'm the city's audit partner, engagement partner for the June, essentially the financial statement audit for June 30, the year ended June 30, 2025. Next slide, please. I have a brief presentation about the results of the audit, but I'm going to go over some required communications, list out the delineation of audit responsibilities between management and the audit team. I'll do a quick overview of the financial statements, look at a couple of financial indicators just to kind of give you a sense of the health of the city, just real quick, and then we'll go over the audit results. So next slide, please. Okay, you can skip one more. So we're going to start with required communications. These are as required by generally accepted auditing standards. So these are ones that we have to go through every time. Starting with independence, and that's for the firm and for the individuals who, the employees of the firm that worked on the city's audit. We complied with all relevant requirements regarding independence, so we are independent from the city. There are significant accounting policies listed in the ACFR. Those are disclosed in Note 1 to the financial statements. And there was a new significant accounting policy implemented this year for GASB Statement Number 101 that did have a moderate effect. It's for compensated absences, and that was implemented during the fiscal year. Most people had to do a prior period adjustment for that, but it did not affect the city's financials that much, where we to that magnitude where we had to do a prior period adjustment. Within the numbers in the ACFR, there are some significant estimates involved in some of the items in there. Those include fair value on investments, depreciation on capital assets. We implemented GASB 101, so there's this new concept of a more likely than not amount of the sick leave liability that will be used. So that's an estimate as well. And then both the net pension liability and the OPEB liability include actuarial estimates. Next slide. So we'd like to point out, say sensitive disclosures, but we know it's like a 200-page document. So we just kind of like to point out some of the footnotes. If you're going to, skip over the footnotes, you want to definitely look at these. Note 1, summary of significant accounting policies, as I previously mentioned. Note 9 for risk management. Note 10 and 11 for pension and OPEB. Note 12 is for other required disclosures, and this year Note 15 for prior period adjustments was one that we did include, and that was related to a finding, as we'll get to later. There were a couple corrected misstatements included in the financial statements. No uncorrected ones were passed on, and in that, so those corrected misstatements were reported for prior period adjustments in the general fund. And the TDA Transit Enterprise Fund. Next page, next slide. Regarding significant difficulties, we did not have significant difficulties in dealing with management, and we also didn't have any disagreements with management in terms of accounting treatments or audit procedures performed. Next slide. All right, you can go one more. Okay, cool. So as far as audit responsibilities, we'll start with the responsibilities of management. So ultimately, management is responsible for the financial statements. These do belong to the city, and we help put them together, but ultimately they are the city's financial statements. Management is also responsible for presenting those financial statements in accordance with U.S. GAAP, for adopting sound accounting policies, establishing and maintaining internal controls over financial reporting and compliance, and for providing the auditors with evidence supporting the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements. And lastly, management is responsible for preventing and detecting fraud. Next slide. As the auditors, we're responsible for performing the audit in conformity with generally accepted auditing standards, in addition to and also on top of that, government auditing standards. We're required to communicate with those charged with government. We are also required to assess the audit risk of internal control over financial reporting. However, we do that not to provide an opinion on internal control, but rather to guide our risk assessment process and determine the nature, timing, and extent of the audit procedures that we're going to perform. Ultimately, we determine the fairness of the presentation of the financial statements and render our opinion on those financial statements. And we also are responsible for issuing recommendations to management if we have any. Next slide. Okay, we can go one more. So just going to do kind of a high level sort of overview of the financial statement. So what you're looking at here is the government-wide condensed statement of net position. So the government-wide includes the city's governmental activities as well as the business type activities. So again, this is essentially the balance sheet. So this is at June 30, 2025. So the assets for the governmental activities increased by about $11 million from last year, while the assets for the business type activities remained similar to 2024. In total, city assets increased about $12 million, and approximately $10 million of that was in capital asset additions. On the liability side, for the governmental activities, those increased by $3.2 million, while the business type activities liabilities actually decreased by $2.2 million. Did I say decreased on the governmental activities by 3.2? So net decrease of about 5.4 million. Decreases in unearned revenue from ARPA and decreases in compensated absences and long-term debt also contributed to the year-over-year change. As far as the net position, the largest component of that is net investment in capital assets of $97.3 million for the city as a whole, and that consists of total capital assets minus outstanding capital-related debt, which is zero. So this amount increased from $87.8 million in 2024. There is $11 million in restricted net position at the government-wide level, and $8 million of that is restricted for capital projects, and the remaining is restricted for special projects or other purposes. Next slide. Okay, so sticking with the government-wide, this is essentially the income statement. We call it the statement of activities. Again, governmental activities and business type activities for the city as a whole. So overall, the city's expenses increased from $30.7 million in 2024 to $33.2 million in 2025. The program revenues for governmental activities increased $2.5 million, but decreased by $1 million for business type activities. And the city's net cost of services increased by $1 million from the prior year. Looking at it in the general revenue section, we have taxes. Those consist of property taxes, sales taxes, TOT, franchise taxes, and special assessments. The other revenues in the general revenues consist of investment earnings, gain or loss on sale of property, and revenue from the fiduciary fund and other minor miscellaneous items. So overall taxes received decreased by about $1.2 million. In general revenues and transfers remain consistent year over year. There was a net transfer from business type activities to governmental activities of about $270,000, and that was mainly for capital projects and debt service. And overall, the city's net position did increase by $15.5 million. Next slide. Now we'll look at the balance sheet for the general fund, and we're going to actually here look at 2025 versus 2024. Assets at June 30, 2025 consisted mainly of $23.7 million of cash and investments, $3 million of taxes receivable, and $4.5 million due from other funds that was used to cover cash shortages in other funds at June 30th. The main liability in the general fund is advances from other funds as well for $2.5 million. Deferred inflows of resources are related to the city's lease activity and is related to GASB statement number 87. And then the breakdown of the fund balance categories, you can see they're non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. The non-spendable fund balance essentially is fund balance in non-spendable forms, which consists of items like prepaids or inventories or things like that. Restricted fund balance is restricted by third parties or enabling legislation. That mainly consists of restrictions from donations in this case. The assigned fund balance is $2.1 million is for the use of Measure L funds, and the remaining fund balance is unassigned at $24.8 million. So if you look at the 2 years next to each other, overall the general fund's balance sheet actually does look very, very similar to 2024's. Next slide, please. All right, so staying with the general fund, we're looking at the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, which is the income statement. Again, year-to-year changes. The main revenue in 2025 is taxes of $22.8 million, which is slightly down almost $1 million from $23.6 million in 2024. And the main expenditure line item that we typically see is for public safety of $9.4 million, which increased from $8.5 million in 2024. You will see transfers out from the general fund, and those are to the city debt service fund for $1.2 million, to the capital improvement fund for $5.5 million, and also to the state gas tax fund for $1.4 million. Next slide, please. Then we can go one more. So I mentioned, just a couple of things, and we like to show this. We like to talk about this, these financial indicator slides to look at, especially for the city of Ridgecrest, because it was not so many years ago that the city's general fund was in a deficit net position, and there were some potential going concern issues. So what we're looking at here is a comparison. It's a little ratio that we like to look at called net cost of services to tax revenues. And essentially what you want this to be over 100%. So the net cost of services is calculated as on the government-wide statement, the charges for services plus the operating and capital grants minus expenses. So again, that ratio being over 100% is good. And what that means is that the tax revenues are sufficient to cover the net cost of providing services without dipping into net position or relying on investment earnings or miscellaneous income. In 2024, we saw that tax revenues were up by $4 million and the net cost of services dropped drastically due to the year-over-year change in pension expense, which was a residual effect of issuing the pension obligation bonds. And so that affected that ratio in 2024. So for 2025, the ratio fell to where tax revenues were sufficient to cover essentially 173% of the city's net cost of services. So with that means the city remains in a healthy position as far as this ratio is concerned. Next slide, please. Okay, and then so now looking was the last slide we were looking at the government wide. This was looking at the general fund, and again, as I mentioned, this was unassigned fund balance was essentially in a deficit probably 5-6 years ago or so. So this slide shows the general funds ratio of unassigned fund balance to annual expenditures. So unassigned fund balance is the fund balance that is the residual fund balance after removing all those other categories, so like the non-spendable, the restricted fund balance amounts that have been committed by council for specific purposes or assigned by management. So it essentially represents, I'll put it in quotes, but the spendable portion of fund balance. We don't really call it that any longer. It's unassigned, but as you can see, in this case, and I'll kind of go through the history of it. So unassigned fund balance in the general fund back in 2021 was 5.4 million, and went to 9.4 million in 22, 13 million in 23, and 25 million in 2024. So it was trending up very a good amount each year. Did have a slight dip to 24.9 million in 2025, but not by much. It's pretty standard, similar to last year. So these ratios, looking back at prior years, this was 80% in 2022, about 90% in 2023, and then it went up to 130% in 2024, and it's at about 125.7% right now. So what that means is that as of June 30, 2025, the city has over 1 year's worth of general fund expenditures available in its fund balance. So that's a very healthy position. GFOA recommends to have at least 6 months in there, and so the city has more than 1 year. So this is a healthy position for the general fund. Although we do not provide an opinion on the financial health of the city or any fund, but we just want to point this out to you that there's been very good strides in the financial health of the city over the last 3 years. Next slide. All right, one more. Let's get to the audit results, right? So for the audit opinions, we issued unmodified opinions to all opinion units, and so those opinion units for the city include the governmental activities, the business activities, each major fund, and then we kind of group all the rest of the funds together, and we call that the aggregate remaining fund information. But what an unmodified opinion means is that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. The accounting policies have been consistently applied, the estimates used are reasonable, and the disclosures are properly reflected in the financial statements. Next slide. We also are pleased to report we had no disagreements with management. We did issue one finding, as I mentioned before, for we call it internal control over financial reporting, because there was a prior period adjustment that was necessary to be made that was outside of implementation of the new GASB standard, and so we did issue that one for having us do a prior period adjustment that was of sufficient magnitude where we couldn't let it pass and still have the financial statements be materially fairly stated. So. But otherwise, there's no accounting issues noted where there was a lack of authoritative guidance and no inappropriate activities were noted. And lastly, I will point out that typically we do, or more years than not, we do also issue a federal single audit report, which we did not issue for 2025, and that was because the city did not expend over $750,000 in federal funds. So we don't have that report this year. So with that, that will conclude my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have, or if not, then that's all for me.
Any council members have any questions?
Nope, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not great with financials, but the over 100% thumbs up, I got that one. I did not do well in college economics, so I can understand that was good. So thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you very much, Coley.
Thank you, Coley.
Okay.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to public comment of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Council will not respond to any public comments, but may provide direction to staff to collect information. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not act on an item that does not appear on this agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is limited to a total of 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name.
Good evening, Council. Tom Wecknick. Well, first, I just real quickly want to mention, Member Skip asked about the thing about 395 and safety last meeting. You know, our town sits only in an earthquake or a bad accident or something happening where we could come isolated very easily. As we saw in having an accident last night, and one person was killed, involved 2 18-wheelers, I think, in a truck, and 395 was blocked for a long distance. I think the fact of Garlock Road being closed, and thank you, Travis, for getting information for me. It appears it's going to be over 2 years before something is done with Garlock Road, which if I'm not alone, I think that's unacceptable as far as the safety of our community. And I think the city council should be aware of that, and that by having that as one of our roads that we could use in an emergency or evacuations or emergency aid coming in, we only have a couple roads in and out of here. We should have them all available. Because like I said, an emergency could cut off any of those. Actually, it could cut them all off, really. But the more you have, the better chance you have of getting through an emergency in a way that takes care of the citizens of the Indian Wells Valley. So I think the city should step up and take a position and get up against the county and say, okay, they're probably trying to get funding to do this thing or whatever, but guarantee you that if this was over on the west side of the Sierra Nevada, they'd find the money. Even though they have freeways and roads every direction you can possibly find, they'd find the money to fix a similar problem like Garlock Road. So they should find a way to fix this one. This should be the highest on the priority for Kern Cog. I mean, absolute highest priority to get this road funded and cleared now and moving it up above any other projects because of the isolation potential we have for an emergency. And the city council should be active in that area, as well as using our county supervisor to possibly help. Anyway, I'd like to see you do that. And thank you, Travis, for the information you got for me. Next, obviously, I still want to go on the record as that the city should probably take a firm position against the data center, the AI data center. Just take a position on it. Instead of doing other interveners and things like that, take a position. And finally, my third issue for tonight, now that we've wasted thousands of dollars on 2 initiatives that apparently failed, and they were brought forward under what I conceive as fraudulent circumstances or reasoning, here's the deal. One thing that was a discussion, and when I was doing a lot of research into the individual term limits in the beginning, was there was a lot of discussion about defining terms and things like that. And a lot of cities, they fix that by just saying years, consecutive years in office. Well, in a lot of those research that I did, there was also something else that they did. And this is legal, and this is probably something you ought to do. There was one councilman in one city that I can think of right offhand, I think it was Anaheim or something like that. Anyway, he was gonna run for office, and he couldn't fulfill the whole 4-year term. So in his discussion with the city attorney said, yeah, you could run, but you can't, sit there for the full term. You can't pull it out because you're consecutive years. Anyway, so he said, I'm going to do the right thing and not run. I'm not going to put the city in that position of having to fill a seat because I got to step down. Now, if you have somebody that medically or moves or something like that, there's nothing you can do. But to intentionally run when you cannot fulfill a term is not the right thing to do. And the city can do something about that, and it's legal. The city allows you to set up candidate requirements, one of which, resident of the city, another, registered voter within the city. And guess what? And this was done in some cities. Make a requirement that to run for office, you have to be able to fulfill the terms of the office. If you can't serve 4 years for a 4-year office, then you can't run. And you can do that without election of the people. You can do that all by yourself. And it's very simple. A simple vote, add it to the requirements. And again, this is legal. And I know somebody up there is going to fight this tooth and nail. But the point is that it's very simple. Don't run for office if you can't fulfill the term of the office, because then you are putting the city into the position where they have to have appointments, special elections, or something else, or leave the seat open. And the solution is just make a requirement that to run for office, if it's a 2-year office, you gotta be able to serve 2 years. It's that simple. You don't need an election. You can do that all by yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Hello, good evening. My name is Tammy Boyer, and I was just looking for an update on the CEC comment letter intervener status. Do we have anything on that?
Okay. I think our city manager is going to handle that in his city manager report.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. And thank you for the meeting a couple weeks ago. It was really positive. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tammy.
Council members, mayor, neighbors, my name is Jamie Jones. Tonight, I want to talk about trust, specifically who we are being asked to trust with our movement data and whether they have actually earned it. The tracking cameras operating on our streets are not just a local police tool. Every byte of that data runs through Flock Safety, a private, venture-backed, out-of-state corporation. I want everyone in this room to sit with that reality for a moment. Because a lot of us in Ridgecrest work out at the base. We understand far better than most communities in this country what operational security means. We know exactly why a centralized searchable history of where citizens go and when they go there is not a small thing. So, again, I went back and read the actual contract obtained through our public records request, not the sales pitch, not the brochure, the legally binding agreement. 2 sections I've notated before, as well as some other concerned citizens. Section 4.3 grants Flock a perpetual, worldwide, royalty-free license to use data from our town to train their software and develop other commercial products. You heard that right, perpetual. That license does not end if our relationship with Flock ends. If the city terminates the agreement tomorrow, Flock keeps those rights forever. We are handing a private company a permanent, irreversible stake in the data generated on our public streets with no expiration date and no takebacks. The next section is section 5.3. This one is even more alarming to me. It states that Flock may access, use, preserve, and disclose footage to law enforcement, government officials, and third parties. Key word there, I would say, is third parties. not just when they're legally compelled to by a court, but whenever Flock decides in their own subjective good faith belief that it's reasonably necessary. The ultimate decision about who sees our data does not belong to the city. It belongs to Flock. A private entity we did not elect and cannot fire holds the absolute discretion to share what is collected here under a highly subjective term that they define. Think about what that means in a defense community like ours. A searchable log of when vehicles come and go, who travels the same routes, and when work shifts change, sitting in a third-party cloud. For people whose careers and security clearances depend entirely on discretion, this is an exposure they did not sign up for and they cannot opt out of by simply taking a different street. What is deeply frustrating is that for months now, residents have stood on at this podium and raised these exact grounded concerns. And with few exceptions, this council has met those concerns with deflection or complete silence. We've been told the community supports it while avoiding the actual terms of the contract. I was personally told I would get an answer regarding sections 4.3 and 5.3, yet tonight we are still waiting. Silence is not neutral. When you refuse to answer, you are answering. I'm not asking you to form another committee to study this. I'm asking the council to act. Put this contract on the official agenda for a transparent public vote. Explain to people who live here and the people who work to keep this country secure why we should continue funding a third party that uses private camera feeds of children's spaces for commercial sales demos and whose data security record is deeply flawed. And to the suggestion made by proponents of this system, and to myself and Mike multiple times, a citizen should try to hack or exploit it themselves to prove it's insecure. That is illegal, irresponsible, and a completely unacceptable deflection from your duty of municipal oversight. Our security claims are reasonable, grounded, and defensive. Mike and I have given you more than enough data. I'm sure you have stacks and stacks from Mike sitting in your offices right now. I hope you read through them. Like I said, our security claims are reasonable, grounded, and defensive. We deserve a transparent conversation, and we deserve a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Hi, my name is Robin Blair, and I'm here to talk about the proposed data center. We have heard about water issues, light, air, and noise pollution, increases in temperature, and utility bills, all of which are issues with existing data centers. But I would like to address the health risks of some of these issues. Potential fires and diesel generator fumes giving off toxic gases and soot particles should be of concern. A hybrid water system uses more electricity, which could mean power failure, and the necessity of using those diesel generators to avoid a fire. Coughing, throat irritation, shortness of breath, headache, dizziness, burning, itchy eyes, nausea, asthma attacks are some possible short-term effects. Lung cancer, heart and lung disease, and systemic neurotoxicities are possible long-term effects. The artificial light does more than ruin our night sky. It disrupts and alters our circadian rhythms. It lowers the production of melatonin, which regulates sleep, acts as an antioxidant, and helps stop tumor growth. Reduced melatonin levels are linked to an increased risk of depression, obesity, insomnia, heart disease, and certain cancers. Noise is more than just an annoyance. Chronic noise triggers the body's stress response, which elevates cortisol and raises blood pressure. Constant noise exposure and spike in cortisol have been linked to an increased risk of mental health conditions, anxiety, sleep disturbances, deficits in memory, reading comprehension and attention, and language development in children. That's just the noise you can hear. The noise you cannot hear is infrasound. It's the frequencies below 20 hertz that bypass the human ear and are felt by the body as pressure or vibration. An invisible noise pollution that can directly affect the nervous system. Published research reports that children living near data centers are experiencing poor cognition, lower reading comprehension, concentration difficulties, and behavioral issues linked to the constant noise exposure, both heard and felt, that their developing brains cannot handle. It's not just making adults sick, it's hurting children's ability to learn and develop permanently. Infrasound can travel up to 2 miles or so, which puts Inyo Kern School well within that radius. The effects on wildlife are severe. They can hear these frequencies and will leave. Their habitat will be destroyed. And then there's the ongoing debate of EMFs. Some people are more sensitive than others, whether you agree with that, whether they're dangerous or not. This is not just another business seeking approval. We can choose which stores we patronize. Walmart doesn't make me go to Walmart and shop there. If this data center is approved, none of us will have a choice in how it affects our water, our pocketbooks, or our health. Long-term, it is not in the best interest of Inyo Kern to have it in its front yard, nor for Ridgecrest in its backyard. My letter to the CEC is in opposition, not just merely concern, and I would like yours to be as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Paul Vanderwerf. I have 2 issues tonight. The first one reminds me of when I went to Vegas to go to a restaurant at a casino, and I was surprised that the restaurant was closed, the entire casino was closed. But they have, through the Gaming License Board, a requirement that closed casinos still keep their lights on and maintain their facilities. So from an outsider's view, I had no idea that the restaurant was closed till I actually got there. Now tying that in locally, I was walking down Balsam Street today, and I noticed the hedge on the back of the Rite Aid looked completely dead. And then I walked around to the front, and there's a 10-foot branch broken off of the Palo Verde tree lying in the sidewalk. And there's a big concern of mine, empty building at Rite Aid is not maintaining its landscape, and is there a requirement, does the city requirement on empty buildings? Right across the street is Bank of America, which is also empty, and their landscape, to me, looked to be in really good shape. And so it's just a concern. We're right on the main corner. Balsam Street is an area that I think we're trying to keep a small town look, and I don't even know if that hedge is salvageable on that side, so I don't know if that's something that can be looked at. The second issue is one that I brought up last meeting involving the cooling center. And I went ahead and I attended the cooling center tonight at the Kern-McGee Center. It was 107 when I got there at about 3:45. And at 5:35, it was 105. And 105 is kind of the cutoff. So at about 5:45, it was 103. Attending lunch at the senior center today, there was no marketing materials as there has been in the past that let people know about the cooling center. So I kind of mentioned that to the staff there, and I don't know if there's a way to get that word out better. The second issue is our dial-a-ride service closes at 4:30. And I think at least for the long term, if we can't do the short term, it would be really nice if we could get the dial-a-ride service to be able to take people home after the cooling center is cool. At 5:45 to walk home from the Kern-McGee Center, it would be 103 degrees, and I think that might be a disincentive for people to use that if they also have transportation issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Good evening. My name is Nina Sunseri, and I'm here to address the data center. I want each of you to think back 7 years ago. Fast forward a couple weeks from now. Where were you 7 years ago? What was going on 7 years ago? Anybody remember? Y'all remember? Rocking and rolling. So, Little Lake Fault is in the proximity of where the proposed data center is. So currently, hazardous material in Inyo Kern is limited to that big old propane tank there across the street from the gas station and a few other things that may rupture in the event of a catastrophic earthquake. News a couple days ago just said San Andreas and San Jacinto faults are due. I know I've lived here all my life, and we were always waiting for the big one, but it's due. They're starting to build up. So And that would cause a chain reaction, Garlock Fault, and then ultimately back up here. So in the event of another catastrophic earthquake, and what was it, 92, where we had a good shaker and made commercials about it and whatnot. The diesel, the generators there, should there be a rupture or whatever, the possible damage, spills, it's untold what would happen to the environment. I mean, at Trona, they had to close down one or two of the gas stations, I don't remember, but just the damage it did to Trona. So the proximity to Little Lake, if you look on a fault map, you'll see how close Little Lake fault comes to that. So just something to think about. Again, just continue to raise concerns about the data center. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nina.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Brown. Thank you, Tom, for bringing up the Garlock issue of the isolation factor that we have out here, because it is pretty serious when you think about it in context. And last night, the lady that just spoke, it is true through Dr. Lucy Jones, you know, the seismologist, the expert at Caltech, there is a tremendous amount of pressure building up on that fault, which is kind of concerning. And if we were isolated, would they fly planes in here to give us water or something? I don't know. But it is something. I hope they do move up that Garlock project. I think it would be very beneficial to the community. I'm here to present to this lovely lady here 8 copies of the Commander Van Allen. He wrote a brilliant letter to the California Energy Commission, to Elizabeth Huber, and he says it all in the letter, why we shouldn't have it. It is a national security issue. There's problems with the planes, et cetera. So I'd like to submit this for each of the council members if they haven't seen it yet. Do I give it to you? Okay, thank you. I was very impressed with our commander. He hit all the important points. Okay, the other thing I want to say for everyone here, if you want to, you can send a letter, excuse me, to that commission and address it to project manager Elizabeth Huber at 715 P as in Paul Street, Sacramento, 95814. The other thing someone brought up last meeting, how long is a data center if it did go through? Well, it has a shelf life of 25 to 30 years, and that's not very long. What are they going to do with it in 30 years after the whole valley's been destroyed? Now, getting back to the water, I'm a de minimis user. By law, I'm allowed, 2 acre-feet of water, which is a little over 50,000 gallons a year. I never use that. I use about 30,000 like a regular household. 800 well owners out here have been thrown under the bus. And not only that, I'm kind of concerned about the wells here in Ridgecrest. You want to put a pipeline in. I do understand where you guys are coming from, but I also have a question. Are you going to preserve the current wells that you have in case there's an emergency? We need the water under the ground because as we know, we're so critical. How much is a data center 50 acre-feet in a year? This is kind of like 16,252,000 gallons of water. That's an awful lot of water that is sucking out of the ground. It's definitely going to affect all this. And that's not counting the casino, which will be built right adjacent to it. So that's going to be another issue as they do move forward for our, a sustained life here. By the way, guys, Erin Brockovich wants to hear from all of you. Her website is Brockovich, BROCKOVICH, datacenter.com. She's dying to hear from everybody. In Nevada right now, she's working on some cases where they're going in and declaring eminent domain, just taking over people's land because they want it. And, Wall Street's making a lot of money on that, I understand. They want to move fast. By the way, the city of Paris is getting ready to ban the data centers as well, their city council. So that's something we're kind of watching, and I think that's a good thing. The other thing I wanted to bring up, if you go to type in on Google, RB Inyo Kern data center, you'll get all that stuff come up, and it shows you how to send, if you want to send e-file or something. Okay, getting back to pistachios, to give an example, when the growing season, their water, they love water like we do. They'll use 50 gallons a day per tree. 1 acre might have 135 trees. Now, in that growing season, that's 6,700 gallons of water a day that is extracting. That's a lot of water. It's like kind of almonds and stuff. So if you have 1,200 acres, that's a significant amount, like over 8 million gallons of water. So I am against the data center. I want to see this valley preserved for future generations. I don't want to see it become a ghost town. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
So I know we're all excited about the data center, maybe because we got cool shirts. Thank you, Building Healthy Communities, Kern. But obviously, we're all looking forward to your letter today that will say that we have significant adverse environmental impacts and so need intervener status. I do just want to put out sort of the other thought on that, which is that we have seen a lot of cities and jurisdictions who are coming out opposed to data centers, and then they get sued and forced to take a data center because they did not give the data center, as government has a responsibility to do, a fair trial to hear both sides. And that's the reality. That's what we are doing right now. This environmental impact report is the chance to hear both sides. We all think it's like the serial killer trial where they're gonna be guilty, but you still have to give them their day in court. So I, unlike others, don't think it's time for the city to come out as opposed. I think it's time for the city to share our significant adverse environmental impacts that we are concerned about, just like the Navy did. And then once we have that completed process, we'll all be here in our shirts, maybe with more shirts to tell you to oppose it at that time. The other exciting thing that's happening in water, maybe exciting isn't the right word because it's the most boring, exciting thing I've ever had in my life, but we're on day 6 of the adjudication for our groundwater. Yay. So it's been an interesting 2 weeks. But one of the things I just really want to emphasize is, we're on day 6, which feels like day 600, and we still haven't seen the Groundwater Authority's actual model that backs up their 7650. Many of us were at a meeting. Dr. Rodney Smith shared that the model was missing. We had heard from former city manager Ron Strand that wasn't true, had been provided. It does seem to be true. Now they're picking apart sort of the Rambo model and the newer models and whatnot, so that's also incredibly boring. But I do think that a lot of us are kind of wondering, how long did people know that there wasn't a model behind the 7650? Because it was kind of shocking for a lot of us to be surprised by that when a brief was filed. So I just think the city, I know, has very closely aligned themselves with the GA. I think a lot of us have had concerns about that for a very long time, and I do think that this maybe puts a little more weight behind those concerns in terms of where the city's role is to protect us who use that water. The last thing I want to mention is we do think that it looks like maybe measures B and C have failed. And many of us had concerns about the quality of the legal services that were provided to put those onto our ballot. And I know some folks have said online, I don't know the ins and outs of this or what it is, but that when there is a lawyer who has put forth a product that is not actually legally sound, that there might be insurance that covers that instead of it coming out of our tax dollars, or that the law firm might be able to say, hey, you know what, that really wasn't our best work and you shouldn't be charged for that. So we're looking at the bills coming in for that. We do think that that should not have made it to the ballot for a number of reasons, but we do think ultimately it does start with that professional who we pay as a city to ensure that things are legally sound, and that was not done. So just our 2 cents on that. I don't think that that's something our taxpayers should be charged for. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Before we go to you, there's someone.
Jennifer, for clarification, please. Even though we've opted to seek intervener status, you were just now asking for an official letter from the city, perhaps like the base just published, not coming out against the data center overtly, but coming out and showing our concern about the data center as the Navy did. Is that what you're saying?
It is, and I really loved the Navy's language that they had mission-critical concerns. I feel like that's, kind of the Navy equivalent of significant adverse environmental impact concerns. But really, right now, the job is to ensure that a business who wants to come in can show whether or not it can really meet the requirements of not adversely impacting all of us. I do not think it can meet that with the zoning, with the water, with electricity, I mean, you name it. But as a government body, your job is to be fair to businesses and give them a chance to prove that. So given the 26 points of study that we did, that we said these are the things you need to look at, I'm sure there are others that, city officials and lawyers can figure out as well. But I would definitely say these are all the concerns. The school district, their letter was a little less compelling, but no less clear that these are what they wanted studied. The airport district even, I feel like all of our public agencies are doing a very good job. I am sure the city will do no less. I'm looking forward to the update on that.
Jennifer, thank you.
Thank you.
But before we go to you, if we can get the person on the phone, if that's fine, thank you. I can't see him if he raises his thumb. Okay, go ahead, caller.
Well, this is Mike Sinat. I got a lot for you tonight. I wasn't going to call in, but I have a friend that said, Mike, you should call in. And hi, Sam. First off, the data center. There's nothing stopping you from standing up individually as councilman or as a body, an agency, and saying no. Intervenor status letter is just an excuse for you not to have to stand up. Councilman Gorman had the cojones to do so, and the rest of you can do so too. So this idea that you have some kind of legal liability, that the developer is going to sue you if you open your mouths, that's ridiculous. That data center doesn't have a chance, so I wouldn't worry about it, but it's good to fight it. Secondly, the Garlock Road. According to a representative of Supervisor Peters this morning at a meeting out at the Jawbone Canyon, it's maybe 2027, so you have no certainty. And, oh, by the way, Searles Valley Minerals used that road to cross to the 14 and back to carry their product. And as you know, Searles Valley Minerals filed for Chapter 11 this week. That probably, I would say, invalidates the settlement agreement between the Groundwater Authority and Searles Valley Minerals. In any case, Searles Valley Minerals will probably not be buying any of the treated wastewater from the city of Ridgecrest, which brings me to another question. I didn't hear anything in the financials tonight about the fund of money that's been accumulating for 12 years to build a wastewater treatment facility, which the residents of the city of Ridgecrest have been paying into for 12 years. So with that said, yes, the comprehensive adjudication is in day 6. We've pretty much determined that the GA has been trying to avoid this day like the plague for the last 5 years, because they know when the truth comes out, they rigged the numbers. I told you they rigged the numbers from day one, and that's what they did. I expect the judge, hopefully, will validate the excellent work done by the Water District's technical working group and find that the safe yield in this basin is 14,000 or more acre feet per year. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, yeah. July 4th and 5th is the 7th anniversary of the Twin Channel Lake earthquakes. July 1st coming up is National Roadrunner Day. And of course, July 4th is our 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence. Tehachapi's having a big fireworks show, 3-day celebration. I wouldn't go to Tehachapi, though. They're in no-go zone because of the use of license plate readers. Kern River Valley is having fireworks free down over the Lake Isabella. Independence is having their small fireworks celebration on Saturday, and so is Bishop. Bishop has had a great celebration for years. I used to go up there 50 years ago, and the jets from China Lake would fly by every year. I would go to Bishop. They don't have license plate readers. And of course, Ridgecrest is going to have a drone show, and they have license plate readers, and it will probably be windy. And I don't know how the drones fly in the wind, but Good luck. And, oh, by the way, it's a free pool day and free fishing day up in Bishop too. So let's see, what else do I have? Anything else? Oh yeah, $20 million the water district customers have paid to the GA now in extraction and replenishment fees. And let's see, what else? Do I have anything else? Nope, that covers it. Have a great 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence, Ridgecrest. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mike.
Hi, I'm Kelly Cutts. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I just want to be part of the public record. I agree with you, Tom, that 2 years to clean up Garlock Road is unacceptable. And I would respectfully ask that you elevate that and let the county know that's unacceptable for all the reasons that's already been stated tonight. The second thing is I really want to support and echo what Jennifer just said about intervenor status versus a written objection to the data center. If you look at what's going on across the country outside of California, communities are getting sued when they just flat out say, no, I don't want to see that happen to this town who is stepping up and trying to take a really good, thoughtful approach to making sure we make good decisions. I don't want to see that happen here. So I want to reinforce what Jennifer is saying about the importance of intervenor status versus outright no. And I would also just like to say, if the GA has collected replenishment fees that are deemed by the court adjudication process to be invalid or incorrect, I think those fees should be returned to the people who paid them. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Mike Neal, and I would like to just state that what has been brought up about the last election and the term limits faulty ordinance that was put forward, and we're going to have this situation again, maybe, where we got somebody who needs to be appointed to the council after Kyle Blade's term is up, which is 1 year from when before it normally should be up for a 4-year term. I would ask that you give serious thought to making the next election a part of a process to where we get to vote about, who's going to be on as that member that's going to be appointed, instead of just having, you guys get in the back room and figure out who you want to have up there with you. People need to be able to elect the representatives, and you have that option to put on a special election and have that position, even if it's just for a year. I'm sure that for some people, it would be a prime opportunity because they say, well, I only have to be on there for a year, and if I don't like it, I don't have to run again. So you might get some healthy traffic at the filing office of Ms. Charlene upstairs when it comes time to file for that. But you guys have to do that. It's up to you. I came up here also to talk about, as the other younger gentleman and several people over the last months have talked about, the flock camera system. I got a printout, something that I kind of cut and pasted, the locations of the cameras. I'm going to put that on that little bench over there for anybody who might want to come take a look at that. We have 24 cameras, as is well known. But if you got to kind of look at the map and get a feeling for what the situation is. Basically, they got cameras on all the major traffic routes, Downs, Norma, John Lake Boulevard, and at the intersections of Ridgecrest Boulevard and Las Flores and Drummond. Kind of boxed in basically by the cameras. There's others outside of that are like on Highway 14, up on Highway 14 somewhere, I believe, and up on South John Lake Boulevard. Try to catch people who aren't really aware. Well, if you look at the map, you'll be aware now. Obviously, if you don't want to have your picture taken, you have to go to special efforts not to. But another interesting bit of information I found was on an attendant website that I think had a link from the DFLOC. And this where I got my data was dflockridgecrest.com. So if anybody wants to look at that, that's where you go. There's another one that shared a link there, and this was the data. And I have to assume this was data for the last 60 days, 30 days, because that's why they how they retain the data, how long they retain it, which is 30 days. You could take a wild guess, and you'll probably would be far off as to the number of vehicles that have been photographed in that period of time. It's 69,500. Now, I looked at the map and the route that I took tonight, and just coming down here, I probably got photographed 4 times. I'll get photographed 4 or 5 more. 69,000 seems like a lot, but not when you've got 24 cameras taking a picture of you every time you pass by the stupid things. They also got hot list hits, which is reported to be 366, and that's a wide range of possibilities of what that might be. The hot list hit rate and percentage is only 0.5%. So out of all that picture gathering and all those people having their right to privacy to travel back and forth being impinged on, we get 0.5% of any kind of hot, it's just a hot list hit, which is like, who knows, the guy might have shoplifted somewhere, they're never going to be prosecuted, but if they get called in and say, oh, he's in this kind of a red Ford or whatever it is, they start looking. And as you well know, I've said it many times, and it's been a good encouragement to see some of the younger crowd who appear to value their privacy, and they're opposing this and hope they'll continue opposing this. I will voice my opinion about this strongly anytime it comes up. Just as another note, I had a conversation with our city manager, Mr. Reed, a while back, maybe a month or so, about some other issues, and this came up, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you said, Mr. Reed, that I would have a camera on every intersection in Ridgecrest if I could. Well, some people might have that attitude, but I would recommend that you take a look at just basic rites of passage and think about what would you think if there were people standing physically on every corner in Ridgecrest taking pictures of every vehicle that goes past. You wouldn't like that, but for some reason it being up on a pole and be automated seems more acceptable, but it's not. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Good evening. I'm Sandra Van Scotter. Thank you for the time and opportunity to speak. I just want to echo other people encouraging the City of Ridgecrest to pursue intervenor status as to the current Inyakern Data Center project. As many have pointed out in other meetings, difficult to remember where they were, this isn't the only piece of land that this developer has. So this is their first shot. So making sure that you go through the intervenor status and asking all of the things and crossing the i's and dotting the t's to make sure that when they come back with another proposal on another piece of land, that you've already covered a lot of ground to argue why you shouldn't. As has been pointed out today, cities are being sued for outright saying no. So this is a good way to gather all of the information that you need so we can avoid that additional part of the battle. The other thing I wanted to point out is that we have the game of whack-a-mole with data centers here in Kern County. There's another one proposed for Taft. And with the limited resources that we have, the proposed 7 at Edwards, who knows how many potential here. I understand that there's 7 different spots in Inyakern that they have reserved for possible development. The mine that's being looked at in Mammoth Lakes, 2 more data centers proposed at Lemoore Naval Air Station, and now a new commercial one out in Taft. The inability to keep up with the onslaught of the commercial grabbing of our very scarce and valuable resources, the way it's going about is inefficient for us, for cities, for communities, to keep up with the deep pockets, to give us the time and the space and the research to be able to say no solidly. Unfortunately, federal government and state government also has taken a lot of the teeth out of our ability to say no. So keeping that stuff in mind, get all the tools in your pocket, and that intervenor status is a really important tool, and I hope the city pursues it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
I'm not sure how much time we have left on the hour. A couple minutes?
No, we got about 18.
Oh, plenty of time. Anyway, named Kathy Russell. So I did want to reaffirm what everybody else has said, Jennifer and others, about the intervenor status, but I think the city would also be remiss by not doing a letter voicing their concerns. The airport has done it, the school district has done it, the base has done it. It would be visibly not there to not have some kind of letter voicing concerns from the city, even though you're filing the intervenor status. I think it would look remiss, like we weren't paying attention. And I want to say how proud I am of all the people that have put out the word, to get all the word out to everybody. Tammy and Jennifer and everybody else. I think it's been, makes me feel great pride in my community that people have been willing to do that. I also wanted to say that I think there's been a lot of misrepresentation by the GA or the city or the water district or whoever that things haven't been transparent. And as a quote from Princess Bride, I'd like to say, I don't think you guys really know what that means, to tell you the truth, because it's not been transparent. I think you need to do a better job of being more transparent, however you want to use that word. And I also wanted to say with a heavy heart, to ask for a moment to think about those people at Edwards who joined us in our community of test and evaluation that lost their lives, them and their families this week. We're a close community. We're attached to doing the same thing. Just with heavy heart that we say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other members of the public wish to comment?
Okay, hello, Lindsay Stevens. I just wanted to say I reiterate my concerns about the model and how the city has yoked themselves with the GA on like insisting this is the only way. We're only at 7650. I was very, very disappointed to see the lawyer try these maneuvers of delay tactics for the adjudication, filing the ex parte motion, the motion to try and have an expert come in. All I saw that happened from that was they pissed the judge off, and it doesn't look good for you guys. I would think at this point you should seriously stop looking at the nonsense of the 55-mile pipeline and start going a different direction and actually working with the water district. I'm tired of seeing so much money be wasted with these lawyers. They aren't doing us any favors. In fact, they make more money the more that they encourage us to fight against each other. And we've got to stop listening to them. And we've got to stand up for ourselves. They don't live here. This doesn't impact them. It only helps their pocketbooks. There's no incentive for them to stop. I also want to say I agree with Tom Whitnick. Stop wasting money on bad ballot measures with wrong language. I really do hope that we don't have to pay for that ill-written language, and that he would consider paying back some of that money. I think doing a simple thing like Tom suggested of at the next meeting, having the council say you can't run for a term unless you can fulfill the whole term is a great thing, and it would cost us no money.
At some point, Lindsay, it begs the question, what's the point of the term limits? And that's going to be a further discussion. I'll make comments at the end. But
I think
all I'm saying, Lindsay, and I'm only defining this because you were on the council, so I'm trying to define my comments. Like, that's the whole reason it was trying to be defined now. If people didn't like the language and there were typos, I understand those things. But I know you're looking at me and Tom was looking at me, and so that's why I'm saying something. At some point, like, 8 years. So you're telling people they can't do 8 years. That's something to keep in mind.
No, you're telling people that they can do 8 years and only
You're
8
not-
years.
You're saying, oh, well, you can run for one term.
It's
That's-
just
that's
saying,
it.
and
That's
you
it.
can take a 2-year break. You know, like maybe strategically, if you want to stay on, you could step down now instead of having a 3-year break of running for again. You know, and I think it just gives you a time away to spend. Like, I think actually a 2-year break is healthy for everyone. It gets new ideas. It gives you time with your family to kind of take a break from things. And I think it's good for people. Like, I think I'll say, even for me, I got new perspective when I stepped away, you know, by the choice of the voters. And so I think it's good. And I think there's no need to continue to try to push ballot initiative forward, especially if we can do something simple like he suggested. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you all for serving. And political season, election year always gets crazy. And hopefully things go smoothly.
Thank you, Lindsay.
I wasn't going to talk until people started bringing up the term limits. My name's Vanessa. I've been in Ridgecrest for nearly 5 years now. Been to a few of these meetings. I was a councilwoman in LA County for an unincorporated area of Los Angeles under Antonovich. There's a different way to look at these term limits and the requirements. In LA County, and in Santa Clarita, actually, the city itself, if you're appointed to a term, a partial term, that does not count against your ability to run for whatever the term limits are set within that council. So if your terms are 2 years and you can only run consecutively 2 times, so that's 4 years, if you were appointed 10 months before the term is actually up, that 10 months doesn't count. You still have the ability to run for 2 terms. What you cannot do is then take a break and rerun. If you've served the allotment of terms for that council, whether it be 2-year, 4-year, whatever it is, that's it, you're done. You can't come back in 2 years' time and rerun, if you will. So I'm just saying there's a different way to approach it and still have the same effect. But I don't think an appointment should count towards a term, regardless of who it is. It's an appointment. You didn't run, you weren't voted in, it shouldn't count against the total time allotted. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Vanessa. Any other persons wishing to comment? All right, we will move on to council announcements and direction. City Manager Reed, would you like to go ahead and address the data center?
Yes, Mayor, will do. Consistent with council direction provided at the June 3rd, 2026 City Council meeting, staff has drafted a petition seeking intervenor status in the California Energy Commission's small power plant exemption proceeding, which is being reviewed and finalized by the city attorney's office. To date, the application for the SPPE has not been deemed complete, and staff understands the applicant has 30 days to respond to the CEC's request for information letter. Staff will return the data center to the council agenda on July 15th, 2026, consistent with the direction provided by the council on the June 3rd meeting for further direction. That is all.
Thank you. Any other council announcements or direction?
No, just, well, that we got to attend, several of us, the Flag Day ceremony at the Elks Lodge, and it was amazing. And Solomon Roger Rottenham gave an amazing speech that I thought was impressive and very well done. So kudos to you for that, Solomon, and thank you to the Elks Lodge, the Boy Scouts and the Sea Cadets that were there. I got a few pictures, and I'll send them on to Travis. Thank you. Yeah.
No. All right. We will move on to consent calendar. All items listed on consent are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered in listed sequence, with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the city council concerning the item before action is taken. There are 3 consent items listed on the posted agenda. Does any member of the council wish to have an item pulled? Does any member of the public wish to have an item pulled?
Number 3.
Number 3. Okay. So then can I have, do we approve the first 2 and then? Yes. Okay, so can I have a motion to approve consent calendar items 2 and 3?
All right, so moved. With 2 and 4 with 3 pulled.
3, sorry. You did say 3.
Second.
Okay.
Five ayes, motion carries.
Okay, so we will discuss item 3, proposed action to adopt a resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council and the successor redevelopment agency adopting the annual budget for fiscal year 26-27, establishing appropriations, estimating revenues, and establishing the policies by which the budget may be and shall be amended.
Mayor, perhaps if the member of the public has a question concerning that item.
Okay. Is there a specific item within?
I had a few questions. Do I only have 5 minutes or?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'd like to start with the city attorney's budget. It's going to be increased from last year's actuals to be an additional $62,000. I was curious why that would be increased. Are we expecting more lawsuits? While you're looking into that. Additionally, the graph on page.
Do you have a, can you pause our time? Do you have a page number where that shows?
That's on page 31.
I think perhaps it would be appropriate if the speaker took her 5 minutes and listed the questions, and then perhaps if the mayor desires, we can answer those.
Okay. On page 22, the graph is a little strange to me. I see Measure P and Measure V have the same projected amounts of income that we're expecting from our taxes, but the sales tax seems to be increased. So are we expecting an increase of taxes? It looks like we're going to be taking in another $200,000 in that. So I'm not sure why that bar graph doesn't match V and P if you're expecting people to spend more money in the town. The page 44, the police department, the org chart there says that there are 2 police captains. I believe that needs to be updated to 3. I did not see a line item for Flock or Placer AI anywhere in the budget. It'd be nice and transparent if that was called out in the budget for everyone. I believe those 2 items should also be pulled from the 2027 budget to be voted on separately and allow people to have an agenda item here at City Council to talk about Flock so that we can choose to continue funding it or not. We have asked since February to have the contract changed for Flock. In addition to 4.3 and 5.3, we felt that the suggestions that the city attorney had made prior to Ron Strand signing the contract with Flock were appropriate, and we wanted to see those entered into the new contract, but that hasn't been done yet. So we don't believe that should be funded until the contract has been updated. And on a positive note,
I'm glad to see that we're funding community and economic development. I see that we're giving another $25,000 over the 2024, 2025 years, although it is less than last year by $45,000, and then I would like to know why.
Which item was that? Community development, you said?
Yeah, on page 49. Those are all my questions.
Oh. Do we not want him just to answer?
Sure.
Yeah.
So-
I would get the public comment done and then have staff address it.
Okay.
If it pertains to the same topic.
Okay. I understand that, but if it's the same comment, then we can get it all at once.
Okay.
So we'll go to Jamie.
Brenda Lisitra.
All right, yeah, requesting the same for the most part that Brenda is requesting there. You know, ideally, I would like to table those items indefinitely. I've brought up sections 4.3 and 5.3 countless times at this point. I've read every one of the terms there. You all have the contract. You've seen it. You know the language. I'm not sure why that doesn't concern you guys at all, why we can't have that debate up here. Again, section 4.3, a perpetual license to our data. It's still in the contract. It's being renewed. No one has addressed it. Perpetual license. They can do whatever they want forever. Section 5.3 explicitly allows Flock to access, use, preserve, and disclose our footage to law enforcement, government officials, or unvetted third parties.
Mayor, I would recommend that the public directs its comments to the budget versus the contract.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The budget. Sure. $78,000 to give Flock this data. It should be removed entirely. If you're going to keep the contract, these things need to be removed. I don't know why they were in there. I don't know why the lawyer didn't address it when it was coming through the first time. This is lunacy to me. Anybody without a legal background could read this contract and see the dangers in these sections here. Why do I have to miss my son's soccer practice today to come up here and tell you guys how to do your job, tell the lawyer how to do their job? Why is it that that needs to happen? Every other week I have to do this. Mike does it, Daniel does it. Countless people in this community do it. Nobody's taking the concern seriously. If you're going to extend the contract, get 4.3 and 5.3 out of here. I would like to see this tabled and moved to an agenda item that we can all talk about, and I need your opinions on this. I need you to tell the public why we have those sections in the contract and why you support it.
How many town halls have we done for Flock?
I believe the total's up to 4.
All right, just a point of contention for me. All right, so can we go through the issues raised by JB and Brenda?
So, yes, I think the two things we need to address, right, is there was she was talking about a fluctuation in the change for attorney fees.
So in looking at the budget for the city attorney budget from the budgeted numbers last year actually are identical in one line and $50,000 less in another line. I believe she is talking to the projected actuals. As we know, the actuals are not done. It's just a number that we're guessing. And this is the standard amount that we typically budget just in case an item does come up. And again, like I said, it actually went down 50,000. And that is, oh, good Lord, sorry, I had it, I flipped to the other page. Those would be can't flip fast enough. Here we go. Revenue, 31, thank you. Legislative. Yeah, so if you look, the 2026 estimated is what I think they are comparing it to. The actual 2026 amended budget had 190 and 300,000 budgeted, and this year they have 190 and $250,000 budgeted. So we are actually budgeting $50,000 less overall.
The concern about the tax increase doesn't match on the measures.
So Measure V and Measure P are obviously both a 1% sales tax that hit exactly in our community what's spent inside city limits. So those will be identical because it's 1% on each sale. The reason why you see a fluctuation and a difference in the other sales tax is it's based off the county pool and the amount that we receive in relation to the full county's pool. So we have a consulting firm that helps us project what we think that might be, so that those sales taxes will fluctuate rather slowly because the percentage in which the city retains of that county sales tax pool does not change very much. So,
Next issue was that there's not three captains listed.
We only have
I
two
believe we
police
only have two
captains.
captains within the department, and then we have sergeants under them.
Okay. Community development funding.
So community development funding, this is one that we did have a little typo that Kelly was fixing.
That's not the budget side, though.
Yeah, it's not in the budget
So-
side, it's just in the spreadsheet. But the reason why you see more in community development prior years is we were doing the full remodel of how we were hanging all of the as-built plans that we have and building plans, and we bought cabinets in previous years, so it was some material items that we have now purchased and no longer need, so.
And then I think the other one was for Flock, that just falls under software, right? And they're.
I don't remember the exact line item where the Flock contract is budgeted. And I believe we entered into a 3-year contract, so it would just be the continuation of the 3-year or 5-year contract. So it would be the upkeep fees for it, and it wouldn't be something that would specifically be called out. It would just be a software item because we have a resolution with a vote approving the contract, so. And that would be in under 120 somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know exactly the line item off the top of my head. Kelly might, though, because she's Johnny on the spot.
Give me a moment. I actually probably could tell you. I'm pretty sure it's going to be under 120, 2010, 5107, 300. And it's there with a lot of other software services that PD needs.
All right. Any council comments based on public comment? Nothing? Okay.
I have one.
Okay.
So thanks for clarifying those different issues. In regards to Flock, I support the Flock cameras. I've voiced that before, but I'll read you some news today that's in today's news. This is from the KSL News in Utah. A man arrested for killing Utah veteran. Axel Eduardo Chavez was taken into custody in Las Vegas following the May 30th shooting of 71-year-old James Witten. Authority used camera technology to track the 23-year-old suspect from California to Nevada. I know we hear a lot of negative things about Flock, but this popped up on the news feed today from Utah, so I just wanted to share that. So.
And this is a budget. We're talking about an item number 3.
Is it on the budget? Is it directly related to the budget?
That wasn't on the budget. That wasn't about, he just wants to share the story. I have to sit here and listen to you guys.
Okay, go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
That's all I want to know. Okay, I have to sit here and listen to a story, all right, from you, Councilman Heyman, but no one up here has to address, again, the stacks of information that we've given you, all the stories. None of that matters. None of it matters. And Mayor, you mentioned that there were town halls with police. None of you were there. None of you were there.
That's not true.
Very few. Okay. All right. And for public comment, everything that was done here, everything that I've stated, everything that Mike and everybody else has stated over the last 4 months, this is, we're in different terms than we were when you first signed the contract. The security flaws surrounding this technology and everything that we've given you, none of that's changed your opinion. None of it.
I just want to point out that you guys are attacking Flock as if it's Sharp Eyes in China, right? Do you know what Sharp Eyes is?
I don't.
Okay, so look into Sharp Eyes, because that, to me, absolutely atrocious type of surveillance state, right? It's, I get that it's a slippery slope. I completely understand that. But until you are taking the same mentality with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, who
This is a government contract. This is a government contract.
They should be, but
This is a government contract.
correct. Does Flock?
It is a slippery slope. That's the last thing I'll say. And again, if you're going to keep the contract, Mayor, you told me this, 4.3 and 5.3. You told me this, you would look into it, no answers.
We did answer you, that we had a meeting with the chief, with city manager, with the lawyer. We had a meeting on it. And what was the resolution? There was no,
You guys don't care about our data being shared in perpetuity to private corporations, spun off, used however they want. You don't care about that. I just want everyone here and watching. Okay.
well, I mean, it's boilerplate language, but. All right, so if we can have a
I'll make a motion to approve
and
item number 3.
do we have a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote? Aye.
Councilman Gorman?
Aye.
Councilman Heyman?
Aye.
Councilman Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Councilman Blades?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, we will move on to public hearings, item number 5. Thank you, Kelly. A resolution and public hearing of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, California, declaring its intent to levy and collect assessments within the City of Ridgecrest Drainage Benefit Assessment District number 2016-1 pursuant to the provisions of the Benefit Assessment Act of 1982. Review of the preliminary engineer's report and authorization to finalize said report for fiscal year 26-27.
Good evening, council. Thank you. What we're here tonight for is the continuation of an assessment district for the drainage improvements along College Heights Boulevard and within tracks 6700, 6775, and 6740. The assessment has not changed. We are building towards the established goal and target to have, and once the target for the capital collection is at that goal, we will take any capital contribution. It will only be back to what it takes to actually operate the district. So the per parcel levy is $87.29, as it's been for the previous year. Went up a little bit the previous year, just for recollection, simply because of the results of the Tropical Storm Hillary, as we had to do quite a bit of repair work on the 2 basins that are within that track. With that, I'm open for any questions, or if you guys have any concerns, or if any public comment is there.
No questions. I know you're going to open the hearing, and I suppose if anybody has anything, but it's pretty run of the mill.
Councilman Gorman, any comments, questions? Okay. Do we open it as a?
I think you have, but yeah.
Okay, and then public comment. All right. So if there's any public comment on item 5? Seeing none on the phones. Close. We'll close the public hearing. And then, is there a vote required on this?
Yes, you have to
Okay.
entertain a motion.
So if we can have a motion
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Motion and second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
All right, next, we will open a public hearing for item number 6, a resolution and public hearing of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, California, declaring its intent to levy and collect assessments within the Consolidated Landscaping Lighting District number 2012-1, review of the preliminary engineer's report, and authorization to finalize said report for fiscal year 26-27.
Thank you again, council. I forgot to mention, this is an item that Terry and I worked together on. That's why I had Mr. Roberts come up here. The Landscape and Lighting District is a district that was established in 2012. Since then, we have annexed three additional districts in. Districts 1A, B, and C are in the same area as the Drainage Benefit Assessment District, primarily the newer tracks on the hill. The levies for them went up the prescribed 3.5% in some areas and remained the same in other areas for 1A, 1B, and 1C. Zone 2 is Walmart. That levy remained the same as they're nearing their capital reserve mark. Zone 3 is the area around Walmart. If you will recall, last year, we spoke at length about the fact that the public was paying for the benefit in which the 4 parcels that were in the district were receiving, and we decided to remove the $100 cap and bring it back in 4 stages. The levy this year will be 50% of the actual levy, making the general fund contribution to this one $1,994, down significantly from the 14 and change that was the general fund contribution to it last year. With the year subsequent to that, next year, you will see a actual contribution to the capital improvement fund there. So it'll be nice to actually be able to show a positive balance. That way, if we have anything detrimental, we have the funding to go take care of those things. Zone 4 is tract 6908. The levy remained the same. Zone 5 is tract 7188. That levy remained the same. And Zone 6 was the most recently annexed in property, Mojave View, and that levy also remained the same as we work towards the capital reserve that we have targeted for it. And with that, I'm open to any questions from council in regards to these districts.
My only question, just for my own recollection, next year it will be 75%.
Yes, sir, that is correct. Next year will be 75% of the levy, and then the year after that, they will be back up to the full levy and be contributing the exact same based on, they have a special calculation for what we call an equivalent benefit unit, and you determine the equivalent benefit units based on use, landscaping in front of it, streetlights, traffic signals, all those things that are a benefit to those properties within that district. So,
Comments?
No, sadly, I got too much history on all this.
Any comments? All right. Are there any public comments on item 6? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And can I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
Please vote. 5 ayes, motion carries.
All right, I guess I already closed the public hearing, but we'll go on to discussion action item number 7, a resolution regarding the annual assessments for the Drainage Benefit Assessment District, number 2016-1, the district, and adoption of the resolution, 1, approving the annual engineer's report, and 2, ordering the levy and collection of assessments for fiscal year 26-27.
thank you, council. This is the actual action required now that we have had no changes to the engineer's report that would actually adopt and order us to give these zones to the county so that way it can be added to the property taxes of the affected parcels. And with that, I'm open for any questions.
Nothing, just a comment. I want to say thank you for, I know you brought a lot of the math and that work in-house, and it started to save the city a lot of money. 'Cause we were contracting that out. And so I want to say thank you. I know you spearheaded that. I know you and Terry are probably working on that now. So, thank you.
Yep, we will continue to do that. One of the other things that hopefully we can do is it helps saves any business that wants to come in considerable amounts of money if we can do these kind of things in-house, so.
Yeah, it's impressive. I appreciate it.
Any other council comments, questions?
None.
Any public comments, questions? All right, if I can have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Five ayes, motion carries.
All right, next, item 8, a resolution regarding the annual assessments for the Consolidated Landscaping and Lighting District number 2012-1, the district, and the adoption of the resolution approving the annual engineer's report and ordering the levy and collection of assessments for fiscal years 26-27.
Thank you, council. Again, this is the item to approve the report for the Consolidated Landscaping District and levy those and send those to the county so they can be placed on the property tax bills. And with that, I'm open for any questions.
No questions.
None? Nothing? Any public comment? All right, can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second? Motion and second.
Five ayes, motion carries.
All right. Next, getting to committee reports, the Economic Development Committee, their next meeting will be July 6th. City Hall Conference Room B on the first floor at 5:15. Finance Committee, their next meeting is July 14th, 2026. City Hall Conference Room B, first floor at 5:30. Infrastructure, we meet next Thursday. Hold on, no. Yeah, next Thursday, right? That's the 25th.
Sounds right.
Okay, next Thursday at 5 in City Hall Conference Room B, first floor. Parks and Rec, the next meeting is July 7th in City Hall Council Chambers at 5:30. So we will move on to other committees, boards, or commissions. I had LAFCO prior to this meeting. The major thing really impacting us, Councilman Blades is the alternate for us and for Shafter, so congratulations.
Yeah, that was an interesting development.
Yep. So, so if either myself or the Shafter representative.
Courtesy of the Bakersfield City Council? Is that right?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Ah, great.
Or Vice Mayor. I think
Okay.
it's Vice Mayor made that decision. So, congrats.
It's good to be here.
So, and then it was honestly it was one of the quickest meetings I've ever had for LAFCO. So I was happy that I was able to make it back for this meeting. Any other committees, boards, or commissions? Do you have anything? Okay. City Manager report.
Thank you, council. I have a couple things. First of all, I just wanted to say, Paul, and I'm probably going to butcher your name if you're still here. Vanderwerth, thank you for the thoughtful comments. And we are currently working with Rite Aid to get the landscape issues that are out there. Code enforcement is on it. We also have within this budget, we have a vacant monitoring fee for vacant buildings, commercial buildings. So that way, every time code enforcement has to go out, you have multiple, we have at least an avenue that we can charge them a little something for our time to try to hit the pocketbook a little bit for them to see if maybe they'll lower rents and try to get people to rent these buildings. I too want to echo the words that Councilman Blades had for Solomon Rajaratnam over for the Flag Day presentation. June 13th, I had the privilege of attending the Flag Day ceremony. It was hosted by the Elks. It was an outstanding event that highlighted the rich history and evolution of the American flag. I learned a great deal about the flag, and I thought I knew something about the flag, but I learned that I definitely did not know all there is to know about the American flag that we cherish today. The ceremony was complemented by a beautiful presentation of the colors by the Sea Cadets and the Boy Scouts. And we also got the opportunity to listen to Vice Mayor Solomon Rajaratnam speak about the meaning of the flag. His remarks reflected a deep passion and appreciation for what the flag represents. It was clear that to him, the flag is far more than a piece of fabric. It's a symbol of freedom, liberty, service, and above all, hope. I would strongly encourage anybody here next year to go and be part of that ceremony, because it truly was awesome to be a part of. Next, we had an incident on Monday where quite a few trash cans were demolished in destruction derby style on Norma. The Ridgecrest Police Department responded to this incident. It was between Drummond Avenue and Sidnor. Approximately 5 trash cans that were placed out for a collection were struck by a vehicle. It scattered debris across the roadway. Donna, thank you very, very much for bringing this incident to our attention. The chief was on it. He informed me that there was an investigation underway and then later advised that the driver had been located. I'd like to extend a special thank you to resident Colby Bigsby, or Caleb Bigsby, I'm sorry I butchered your name, and State Farm employees Irene Bernardino and Diana Pacheco for taking the time to clear the debris from the roadway to help ensure the safety of passing motorists. Their willingness to step up and assist exemplifies the spirit of community service, and it truly does give a meeting, and thank you for this, Donna, to like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I'd also like to thank the City Streets Department for promptly deploying the street sweeper to remove the numerous shredded paper fragments that remained in the area. An incident like this serves as a reminder of what makes Ridgecrest special. Time and again, our residents, local businesses, the community band together to do and go up above and beyond for other people in our community, and it just reminds me of how great it is to be here. So. Oh, I've got a long one today, guys, sorry. Next is 4th of July Freedom Park sponsorship update. So the city wants to extend its sincere appreciation to the businesses, organizations, and individuals who generously have helped to make this 2026 4th of July Freedom Park celebration possible. Community sponsors have generated, wait for it, $50,350 for this year's event, and the city has contributed its an additional $10,000, which is consistent with what we had in our budget. This incredible level of community support has made it possible to launch this inaugural event, inaugural event, including Ridgecrest First's Independence Day drone show. Sponsorship funds will be used to offset the cost of the drones and for equipment for the multitude of games. If you guys haven't seen the flyer that's gone out, there's gonna be quite a few games for kids. I really think it will be a great event. We went out this last Food Truck Friday at 8:15 p.m. and put one of the city drones up so we could figure out where the bottom of the event will be, and we can mark a line so that way everybody will know where to sit so their view is not impacted by the trees. So again, everybody on the staff has gone above and beyond, and I greatly appreciate all the time that you guys have spent making all these events happen. Thank you to our sponsors. We have 2 platinum $10,000 sponsors, Desert Valleys Federal Credit Union and Griffith Construction Company. You'll know them with all the red trucks that run around here doing work for us. The gold sponsors, Alta One Federal Credit Union, 5 Star Tobacco, La Fiesta, the Ridgecrest Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, and Toyota of Ridgecrest. Our silver sponsors for 2,500, Bowman Asphalt, which you guys will see them out there next week making dirt fly on Mahan Street. Bronze sponsors, Saracoso Community College, the Ridgecrest Regional Hospital, and then independent sponsors, which is other amounts up to about $1,000. We had Citizen Marcia Burnett, Citizen Adam Wurtzbaugh, State Farm, the Swap Sheet, and then our partner sponsors that are in-kind donations, 93 ZRT Radio, Mather Brothers Inc. for providing water for the event, and Sierra Sands Unified School District. The city is grateful for the support of those sponsors and partners whose contributions have made this event possible. Their generosity has helped establish a new community tradition that we will look forward to for years to come. Next one, we've got a comprehensive update for you guys on the pool. That'll be the first council meeting on August 5th. We'll have a bunch of pictures. They started going vertical, so you're really going to get to start seeing stuff go up here soon. And lastly, on behalf of the city, we want to extend our sincere condolences to the employees, families, and community members affected by the recent layoffs and bankruptcy filing involving Searles Valley Minerals. The uncertainty and hardship that accompanies such events as these are felt not only by the families and the people that live here, but it directly impacts the entire community. Our thoughts are with the workers and families at this time. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any future agenda items? Sure. We don't normally allow it, but yeah.
I would have asked earlier, but I thought it was going to come back to this time. So real quick, you mentioned that a CEC letter asking for intervenor status for the data center has been drafted and it's under review. I didn't hear when it was actually going to go to the CEC. Would love to know that if possible. And my comment is, you don't have to, asking for intervenor status and expressing concerns are not mutually separate. You could do all that in one letter. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could tell us when that letter would be done and submitted, that would be really appreciated.
I would have to come back, bring it back to council to seek direction for the filing of it. So once we've come back to council and they've given me further direction, I will do what council asks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so future agenda items?
I had one, Mr. Chairman. I think it's indefinite when it might come in, but it would be to direct the staff to compose a letter of concern about the data center to the CEC, much as the Navy did. But I would have to have that follow our approval as status, intervenor status approval. And I'd have to make sure, I'd have to be convinced that the letter of concern doesn't dilute, restrict, or render ineffective in any way the intervenor status. So it's not exactly an agenda item for the very next meeting, but it's one that you would hold in your heart.
I will second that, Skip.
Thank you.
Okay, any other future agenda items?
Can I ask a clarifying comment real quick? So are we putting an additional agenda item on the July 15th meeting, or are we?
It will be after that one.
Okay.
Okay, next we'll have mayor and council comments. Skip. I always go to you first because it's always riveting.
He does. It puts tremendous pressure on me. I enjoy all the blue shirts. You folks are where the rubber meets the road as far as how democracy works, and I appreciate it. We can offer intensity to what we say without appearing angry. It can be done. Thank you for all the comments. I wish that there was a mechanism in today's municipal democracy that allows us to interact more as things come up. The toughest thing in the world is to sit here mute when you must, rather than reach into this microphone, as I did when I had a radio talk show here in Ridgecrest long ago. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate you. That's all I have.
Councilman Blades?
Oh, no, I guess real quick, so I was just reading some messages. It looks like there are going to be some shirts available. So for the 250th, I think, is it Desert Valleys? Do you know? Desert Valleys is going to be selling them? I'm not sure. Yeah, and Welcome Center maybe? Yeah, I know that the Welcome Center is going to be doing something, but moral of the story is they're $20 per shirt, $5. $5 goes to the Wreaths Across America, so if they're available at the Welcome Center, that's great. I just didn't have complete details on where to buy them, but I certainly want to bring it up since, the 4th is coming right up.
Any other comments?
No, go ahead.
All right. So on this day in 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrived in New York City. As for my individual comments, past week was pretty rough for me. My dad underwent an open heart surgery. I had 4 bypasses yesterday. He was able to make it through. He's up, moving around, he's getting his walking in. And so my mind's been a little bit scattered, but happy to know that he made it through. He can still be there for us and his grandkids. So I also want to share my condolences to the individuals that passed away at Edwards. As a test and evaluation squadron, it's something that I'm sure the flight test engineers and the air crew, they have to think about every time that they go on a flight. And that B-52 does not have the same safety features that some of our newer jets have. And so, thoughts are with the families, the friends, the coworkers, the fellow service members who worked with them, who enjoyed their company, who are going to miss them at family events, at work, at holidays. So keep them in your thoughts. I was part of a Veterans Meeting the Moment forum where I was on with Max Brooks. You might know him as the author of World War Z. He's also a senior fellow at the War College at West Point, studying national security. And it was really about trying to get other veterans trying to run for public office that they've served once. There was a book written by Lindsay Cormack in 2016, 17, or 18, I can't remember, about Congress and U.S. veterans, and the number of U.S. veterans that used to serve in Congress and in elected office has sharply declined to public interest, to businessmen, to investors, to individuals other than veterans. And she made a cogent argument about, veterans are able to see through realistically partisan politics because they've once put country over party, and the hope is that one day we can get back to that. Lastly, this past weekend went to Long Beach for a basketball tournament for my 15U basketball team, and I just want to commend the young men that are on that team. We played 3 different teams. One coach was not going to compliment my boys. That's a topic of another discussion. But the other 2 coaches that did not have animosity with me complimented the young men from our city, talked about how disciplined they were, how they listened to me, and they followed through with what I told them to do. And to me, that's bigger than a win, which is good because we didn't get any. But to be able to have someone else from another location come up and compliment the boys of this area and tell me that they are respectful, they are disciplined, they understand teamwork, is just something about this city and the morals and norms and values that we have and that we instill in our youth. And so I just wanted to take a moment to compliment them, to compliment the parents, and to compliment this community on a job well done with our youth. So, but that is all I have. We will adjourn. Everybody have a wonderful holiday weekend. If you haven't looked into Juneteenth and the reason behind it, please do, and have a wonderful evening.